COVID-19 cases in North Texas.
And it is spreading fast.
Declaring a state disaster.
Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price is expected to announce a stay-at-home order.
Dallas County will move to a safer-at-home order.
The pandemic has changed the world. In this documentary short, we will explore how it has affected the lives of two young people, Bumlek and Harry. Through their eyes, we will discover what they learned and how they coped before and after the pandemic.
Pandemic has really changed my everyday routine, and I feel like before the pandemic everything was sort of in person, and now since the pandemic everything has changed to being more online, like my events and my programs and even school. So I've gotten really used to that, and it's going to be kind of hard to go back to being in person for everything. My name is Hari Kafala, and I'm a junior and a full-time student at Franklin High School.
I'm not allowed to go to school, but first I thought, well, that's cool. But then 4 months went by, and it felt like time had just started to fly. That's when life got boring. Thought maybe I should start exploring. Got stuck in a Fortnite lobby, so I started looking for new hobbies. I started baking, and that was fun, but I think that phase is done. I went to Netflix and watched all my shows, but it went by too fast, and that really blows. All of a sudden, summer was over, and now we're at the end of October. COVID has changed our ways of living. I hope it'll get better by Thanksgiving. We can't change what's happened in the past, but we can fight so this virus won't last.
Luckily, my family is very cautious, so we haven't got too many COVID-19 cases in my family yet, but more recently, my sister, who goes to college down in DC, was unfortunately exposed to COVID-19. Luckily, since she's still pretty young and has a good working immune system, it didn't really affect her too much. They just put her in isolation for about 10 days, and after that, she was perfectly fine.
This is my experience as a second-year college student taking in-person classes during COVID-19. A few weeks into the semester, the heavy workload and stress of college and coronavirus started to become overwhelming. To combat this, a few of my friends and I would go to our local Walmart and buy plants that we'd put around our residential building. This was a great way to make the building more homey and pick up the mood a little bit. So the pandemic has been really tough on my community for a lot of different reasons, whether that be, emotional, mental, or financial reasons. Also, I come from a culture and I am surrounded by people that love to show support for one another by showing up for stuff. So whether that be, having a tough day and having people come over to help you through it, stuff like that. Like all of that not being feasible anymore because of the pandemic has been tough, but I've also been able to see how resilient the members of my community are, because people have become really creative in the ways that they offer support to one another. So I've seen, as tough as it was, I've also seen a lot of resilience from my communities.
I think that COVID has really impacted our community and family and friends by just isolating us from each other. Because of the pandemic, we really didn't get to see each other that often, and unless it was really through like phone calls and video calls, that was the main source of communication, and other than that, we didn't really get to see each other in person.
This semester was definitely the most difficult of my college career yet. We attended lectures on Zoom, ate our dinners in our rooms, and weren't able to socialize like we used to. Although it felt isolating at times and I missed my mom's cooking, I knew that the precautions the school was taking and the guidelines that were set were designed to protect students, staff, faculty, and everyone outside the university bubble too.
I'm more aware of like what I'm touching, like how often I'm cleaning my hands, and how close I am to other people, and making sure I have a mask on.
Bumlack and Harry continue to cope with the pandemic as we fight daily to find a new kind of normal in its ever-changing evolution and grow stronger in the face of the adversity that it presents.
I think that people should have more trust in the CDC and our government and realize that they're medical professionals doing their job. And I'm not saying to just follow them blindly. It's definitely good to ask questions and do your own research. Just do so from responsible sources.
I think that people that are able to get vaccinated and have access to it should definitely do it, because I have been vaccinated and I personally have seen the benefits of being vaccinated. So I know there's a lot of politics behind it, and I know some people are skeptical, but I have first-hand experience from it, and I have really benefited from it. So my advice is that if anyone has access to it, then they should definitely consider being vaccinated.
I've learned a lot more about viruses and vaccines throughout the past couple of years because of our situation, and I feel like some advice that's very important for future generations is preparation. The whole world really wasn't prepared for something like this to happen, and it's very obvious because of how long it lasted and really just how high the cases and death toll got. And also cooperation is very important in places like the US where the citizens weren't really cooperating much with the CDC and our government. You can see that our cases are a lot higher and our isolation stage in the pandemic was a lot longer than some places.
I think what I've learned in the past few years and what's been reinforced to me, I guess also over the past few years, is to not take too much for granted. And this sounds really cliche and uninspired, but yeah, it's just to live in the moment. And I think that would also be my advice for future generations is it's good to plan, and it's always good, especially if you're like the type of person that likes to have a routine or like a 5-year plan going on. That's good, but always have that understanding in the back of your head that life could change for any reason, any unexpected reason. And so just live in the moment. I know it's easy to be like anticipating everything in the future, but yeah, just live in the moment.
Through strange and uncertain times, these young people have found time to look inward, to reflect on the world and themselves, and to get in touch with their creativity. It's a life no one expected to live, but they are making the most of it.